Everyone keep their eyes outside. Make sure you're being safe on the ground.
Thumbs up on the trucks. Then you're clear on the right. You ready for it? You're clear on the left. Roger. Still clear right. Alright, we're good to take off.
Safely off the ground, the crew can now focus on the first leg of the journey.
Right here, I am doing our coast-out checklist. This is something that we typically do. Basically, anytime we're flying over the ocean, so we're going to be flying for about 5 hours, and then we should be right.
Unforgiving terrain.
Green lights on. Kick them out.
And the other heads out on a grueling 3-day journey to deliver heavy missile launchers. They are missions that will put each crew member and these $200 million jets to the test. The C-17 Globemaster III is the most versatile cargo plane in the U.S. Air Force fleet. It's a tireless workhorse, engineered to carry over 77,000 kilograms of cargo. That's the equivalent of 8 Mack trucks. There are 221 of these giant flyers in the U.S. Air Force, spread out over 12 bases. A few kilometers from Waikiki Beach near Honolulu, Hawaii, sits Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam. Headquartered here, the Pacific Air Forces oversee and coordinate offensive and defensive air operations for the vast Asia-Pacific region. It's also home to 8 C-17 Globemaster IIIs. For Captain Nick Carr, flying the C-17 is a dream job.
Oh man, I love the aircraft. It's an awesome handling aircraft. It's amazing for such a huge airplane. It really does anything you want.
As a C-17 pilot, Captain Carr has airlifted troops out of Iraq and delivered emergency supplies for victims of the 2011 Japan tsunami. Being a pilot is in his genes.
Since the time I was really young, I've been flying with my grandpa, and he taught me how to fly. And I've always had that love of flying. So to do it for a job really was my dream.
All right, Trek 28, welcome to the brief. How's everyone feeling tonight? Today I'll be the aircraft commander.
Captain Carr and his crew have gathered to go over their upcoming mission. Their orders are to pick up Patriot missile launchers from a remote island in the Pacific and deliver them to California.
So fuel will be 125,000 pounds on board. The chronological order of events will be taken off from here at 11 Zulu, landing in the morning at 16:30, and from 16:30 we'll take that 10.5-hour flight to Kwajalein Island.
Normally, the C-17 needs only 2 pilots and a loadmaster, but the extreme distance of this mission demands a 6-man crew.
We got a 22-hour day today, so not a lot of room for error here. Intel tactics, we've already briefed all that up. CRM topic, would you like to brief it?
Remember the basics: aviate, navigate, communicate, and then safely move the jet, safely move the mission, and everything else just icing on the cake.
The first stop is Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, where the C-17 will drop off a load of radar equipment. Then begins an 8,000-kilometer non-stop flight to Kwajalein Island, part of the Marshall Islands in the northern Pacific. Kwajalein Island is tiny, with only one short runway that's just over 2,000 meters long. The small runway ends at the ocean's edge, a risky landing if they can't manage to stop in time.
You know, there is a risk with it, but it's something that we're trained to do. It's something that we're capable of doing, and it's something that, you know, we actually want to do. That's the great thing about this plane here, is that this plane can take oversized cargo to small runways, you know, places that typical planes can't get into.
In the heavyweight world of cargo planes, the C-17 is a gem. 53 meters from nose to tail, it's almost twice as long as a 737. And has a wingspan that stretches just over 51 meters. 4 fully reversible turbofan engines power this behemoth. Each can produce more than 40,000 pounds of thrust. It's 11 p.m. Time for Captain Carr and his crew to board the C-17 and head to California.
We depend on each other a lot in this aircraft. Everyone has a very different specialty. The loadmasters and the pilots, to the maintainers. We like to make sure that, you know, the communication lines are open and everyone's comfortable with what's going on, because you never know when someone can have an input that might save a bad situation.
In the cargo hold, the loadmasters crunch numbers in anticipation of the massive payload they'll eventually take on. 3 Patriot missile launchers, each weighing almost 6 metric tons. The C-17 is designed to handle all types of heavy loads, and it's highly adaptable. The floor in the C-17's cargo area is specially designed to be reconfigured in a matter of minutes, thanks to a network of rollers and rails.
And it operates pretty easily, just by pulling it up like that. And then the rollers themselves flip over very easily as well. And this rail here provides lateral and vertical restraint for the cargo. And then the rollers, obviously, for bringing the cargo on it and off the aircraft.
With just minutes to go before takeoff, Captain Carr makes a final visual inspection.
Big picture, we want to make sure the airplane's clean, there are no cracks, all the panels are configured properly, making sure the brakes are in proper condition, and basically just take a big overview of the jet to see that there's nothing to the left, nothing to the right that our wings might hit. We got 169 feet of wingspan.
The flight crew gets the all clear from the control tower. Next stop, California.
Yeah, as maneuverable as she is in the air, when you're on the ground, you feel how big the jet is, and taxiing is definitely something you got to take slow and just kind of roll it. Everyone keep their eyes outside, make sure you're being safe on the ground.
Thumbs up on the trucks. Then you're clear on the right. You ready for it? You're clear on the left. Roger. Still clear right. All right, we're good to take off.
Safely off the ground, the crew can now focus on the first leg of the journey.
Right here, I am doing our coast-out checklist. This is something that we typically do. Basically, anytime we're flying over the ocean. So we're going to be flying for about 5 hours, and then we should be arriving in Vandenberg.
In Vandenberg, they'll need to quickly unload and then refuel.
Temperature 28 is gear down.
The tight mission schedule doesn't allow for any delays. This quick turnaround means they have less than an hour to complete the unloading.
So since the pallet weighs so much, we have to put the struts down so that when we're bringing it off the jet doesn't tilt backwards.
During the next leg of the journey, Captain Carr and his team will log almost 8,000 kilometers crossing the Pacific, pushing the C-17's fuel envelope to the max.
This bird is what they call the extended range, so we can go up to approximately 240,000 pounds, and that's limited based on our cargo weight as well. So,
Starting engine number 1.
Before takeoff, the crew uses reverse thrust to back up in order to get the C-17 in position on the runway. The payload door is open, so the loadmaster can see clearly when guiding the pilot backwards.
All right, come on back. Come on back.
There are very few planes this size that can back up on their own power.
Come on back.
The pilots depend on a running commentary provided by the loadmaster to keep the plane on track.
Come on back. A little bit towards 4. Come on back.
We can't see out the back, so we need that loadmaster back there to direct. And he's talking the whole time, and the agreement is that if he stops talking, that we're going to stop immediately because we assume that he may have fallen out. We don't want to run over it.
Come on back.
Every loadmaster will say, come on back.
Come on back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Track 28 Heavy 1300, back 11, clear for takeoff. 2, clear for takeoff. Safety in black. Okay.
The next leg of the mission is off to a good start. crew can settle in for the rest of this marathon mission that will last for more than 24 hours. 3,600 kilometers away in the skies over Alaska, another C-17 is about to fly into a challenging combat training mission involving over 75 paratroopers. The C-17 crew from Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam is heading out over the Pacific Ocean on their long journey to the Marshall Islands. There, they will pick up a load of Patriot missile launchers and deliver them to California as they're needed at another base. Patriot missile systems are designed to detect and shoot down incoming enemy missiles. Each launcher is about the size of a tractor trailer. Whether it's moving missile launchers or delivering troops to a combat zone, the C-17 Globemaster III was designed for war. And to sharpen their combat skills, many C-17 crews head north. Alaska's rugged terrain provides an environment much like what troops and flight crews would face in war zones like Afghanistan. It's well before sunrise at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson near Anchorage, and this C-17 is being prepped for a training exercise that's anything but routine. It's Arctic War Day.
All right, everyone, welcome. I've got 0602 local in 45 seconds. Welcome to War Day, everyone. Should be a good mission.
War Day pulls together all of the base's available resources to create combat conditions.
For the C-17s, commit at 1811.
And the C-17s are in the center of the action.
Good morning, everyone. Lieutenant Chris Warren. I'm going to be giving you your intel brief today. Bottom line, we have a couple guys in country. Currently, they've gotten some electronic intelligence that we need to get out to prevent a potential terrorist attack that could be imminent.
Two C-17s will play a leading role in the operation. Their mission is to drop paratroopers over a remote mountain valley and rescue 2 American operatives carrying vital information. It's a highly coordinated exercise. And just like a real combat situation, nothing is left to chance.
Cover a couple mission objectives first. 8-1 will be myself, Major Phillips. We have Captain Wendler with us as well.
After the briefing, the C-17 crews go over their mission. Major Brian Phillips will be at the controls of one of the C-17s. He's concerned about the wind conditions at the drop zone, called the DZ, where the paratroopers will jump.
We could have winds gusting 20, 25 knots, so we're going to need to get a good report from Major Dillon up there on the DZ so we can make a call on the jumpers.
As part of the mission, each C-17 will drop approximately 75 paratroopers who will secure the valley where the aircraft need to land.
They're going to be gusting up through Annabelle Pass. Pretty bad. 20, 25 knots, maybe.
With an hour to go before the war scenario begins, all the players get into position. Jet fighters will play the role of the enemy, while others will be protecting the C-17s. Even an AWACS jet is deployed to provide airborne command and help detect enemy aircraft.
We have a real unique training environment here in Alaska. So it allows us to basically practice our wartime mission at home. And it's a phenomenal capability that we have here. It's really awesome.
At the crack of dawn, the paratroopers make their way across the tarmac. Wearing their parachutes and carrying their 36-kilogram kit packs, just walking is a struggle. The paratroopers awkwardly make their way up the back ramp.
Stay on the grip, don't step on that metal.
And the morning dew on the steel ramp doesn't help. While the jumpers settle in, Captain John Wendler examined the location coordinates where the paratroopers will be deployed.
This is an overlay of the drop zone, and we use it to make sure our computer is navigating correctly to the drop zone. So it's guided there by GPS, however it's backed up visually by myself and the co-pilot.
The drop zone, known as the DZ, is 354 kilometers north of the base. That's where they've been instructed to rescue stranded spies.
And when I go downstairs to brief the jump master and the Army, information right here, so that they know they have a good idea of what the DZ looks like, and they know we know what it looks like as well. Okay. All right. The profile with the doors open is going to be 1,000 feet AGL. Okay. Right now, the winds and altitude are 210 at 20. On the surface, they're 180 at 3, gusting to 10 knots. Gives you a limelight time of 65 seconds over the DZ.
With the C-17 flying at an altitude of just 1,000 feet over the drop zone, the jump masters will have only 65 seconds to get all the parachutes. Any longer, and the plane runs out of time and risks flying into the side of a mountain.
Fair to let you guys, I can see that limelight start popping them out. If we wait till the end of the DZ and it's malfunction, we got serious issues with that terrain out there.
At 0900 hours, F-22 Raptors take flight, and war day begins. Other fighters already in the air act as the enemy.
Airplane clear for takeoff, push departure.
Ready for their combat mission, Major Phillips and his crew are cleared for takeoff.
Ready.
On the way to the drop zone, Major Phillips maintains an altitude of 1,000 feet.
We fly low level because the C-17 is large. It's not a stealth aircraft at all. So our tactics to avoid radar detection is to fly low to the ground. So when I say low level, I mean it's a route through the mountains at anywhere from 300 to 1,000 feet above the ground.
During the flight, everyone in the cockpit keeps a sharp eye out for enemy fighters. Meanwhile, the paratroopers below wait patiently. The loadmasters await instruction.
Load. Yeah, what's up? Time. We got 10 minutes.
We constantly need to inform the loadmasters of what's going on. That way they can communicate to the troops in the back to let them know where we are, how long till they jump.
As Major Phillips approaches the drop zone, the jump masters get the paratroopers ready. The loadmasters are in charge of opening and closing the two side doors.
Are clear to open. I can check. Standing by ADS arm.
The air deflector to the right of the jump platform prevents the jumpers from being pushed against the side of the plane by the airstream.
Stand by, ready, Ready, lights on.
30 seconds.
Flying at this low altitude makes for a bumpy ride. They're flying at just 1,000 feet and are surrounded by some very unforgiving mountains. It's up to Major Phillips and his flight crew to keep the jet level and get the troopers out fast.
Is that a good 30 minutes?
It's Arctic War Day in the sky over Alaska. And the crew of a C-17 Globemaster III is 30 seconds away from launching an urgent maneuver. 75 paratroopers are poised to jump out the side doors as the C-17 rapidly approaches the drop zone in a remote, mountainous area northeast of Anchorage.
There you go.
The paratroopers' mission is to secure a remote airstrip so the C-17 can land and pick them up, along with the two stranded spies. It's extremely noisy in the cargo area. The loadmasters and jump masters are forced to communicate using hand signals.
In yard, cross tracks in yards. We're clearance to drop. Actuals are
The biggest thing we're worried about when we have jumpers going out the back of the airplane is a towed parachutist. That's when someone's parachute doesn't leave the deployment bag, so they're just hanging behind the airplane, smacking up against the side. I've only ever heard of it happening once. The Loadmaster was able to get the jumper back inside in less than a minute, and other than a few cuts and bruises, the jumper was fine.